We're always privileged and thankful and appreciative to serve God, to worship God in spirit and in truth, and also to be able to call upon His name in prayer and worship in spirit and in truth. If you're here this morning and you're not a child of God, we would encourage you to investigate the claims that we make, because we make some claims that are not very popular in the realm of religion. All right. But we understand that the claims we make, we ought to have a scripture for it, and we are able to prove that which we make. So investigate the claims and see whether or not we are teaching and preaching and saying those things that coincide with thus said the Lord. You know, one of the things that God has always been desirous of is that people who love Him, people who follow Him, people who worship Him, and people who serve Him, they do so out of the right kind of spirit. That they serve God out of the right kind of spirit, the right kind of attitude. As a matter of fact, you see this all throughout Scripture. You see that people who love God and who worship God and they serve God with enthusiasm. You think about men like Joshua. In Joshua chapter 24 and verse number 15, Joshua reminds those people near the end of his life, and if it seem evil unto you, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether it be the gods on the other side of the flood or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwell. But if for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. Joshua already had his mind made up, already had his family's mind made up. You didn't have to go and ask his wife, his children, ask the dog. Joshua had already taken care of all of that. He was the head of his family. Joshua said, everybody in my house, we're going to serve the Lord and we're going to serve God with enthusiasm. You go to the book of Ruth, Ruth chapter 1, verse number 16. Ruth would tell Naomi, entreat me not to go with you. Where you go, I'll go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Ruth said, your God will be my God. So she wanted to serve God with enthusiasm. Not only that, David in Psalm 122 and verse number 1, David said, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. David said he wasn't mad at anybody. He wasn't sad about the occasion. He wasn't upset. Nobody was pulling his arm. He said, I was glad when they said unto me, now I have an opportunity to go and serve and worship my God. There ought to be a sense of enthusiasm. Jesus would say it like this in John 14:15, if you love me, keep my commandments. Do you love God this morning? Amen. Do you serve God out of enthusiasm? Amen. I want to show you a passage that helps us to understand what we're talking about. Look at Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12. Beginning at verse number 1. Paul would say, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Is your service. Reasonable. This is not God's service. Oh, no. It's your service. This is something that you are supposed to be doing, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing or the renovating of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Now, Paul says that, he established that in Romans 12, 1 and 2. But then, as it relates to what we're talking about this morning, drop down and look at verse number 11. Paul says, as it relates to the Christian's attitude, the Christian's motivation about serving God, notice what he says. Not slothful in business. The word slothful means to be sluggish. All right. To be slow, to be lazy. In other words, Paul is saying some Christians need to stop dragging their feet. He says, don't be sluggish, don't be slothful in business, but fervent in spirit. Fervent is the antithesis of slothfulness. In other words, fervency means you are boiling over. Right. You ever see sometimes people cooking greens and cooking stuff on the stove? They got pots and stuff. They got water falling all over the stove, stuff coming out of the pots and the pans. He says we ought to be boiling over with fervor when it comes down to serving God. That's how we ought to serve God. I hope, trust, and pray nobody came in this morning out of a mundane routine. Amen. But that you came here this morning because you know how important it is to serve God, because you love God and you try to do what's right. This morning we're talking about enthusiasm. Well, what is enthusiasm? All right. Enthusiasm, if you look on the board, a strong excitement of feeling. And intense excitement and intense eager enjoyment. In other words, when you think about enthusiasm, in other words, this is a lively interest. It is an energetic interest in a particular subject or activity. That's what God is saying as we serve Him. We ought to serve God with enthusiasm. We ought to serve God with some fervency. As some people say, with a little pep in our steps. We ought to serve God from that vantage point. Amen. And so this morning, as we think about enthusiasm, as we think about fervency and serving God, there's a man that we can look at. A man by the name of Caleb. And here's the thing about Caleb. You see, because Caleb doesn't have a book. So we tend to give more credence to Joshua. But when you look at Caleb, when you look at the life of Caleb, what Caleb said, what Caleb did, how he stood, Caleb is a case study on enthusiasm. Well, let's look at it. Let's go back to the book of Numbers. Y'all stay with me, because I'm very enthusiastic about preaching this sermon. Looking at the life of Caleb. When you look at the life of Caleb, here's a man in Joshua chapter 14. That man said he was 85 years old. And I'm as strong this day as it was then. That's what he said. Notice now, back in Numbers chapter 13, first of all, let's understand this. In Numbers chapter 13, verses 1 through 16, God told Moses, send 12 heads, one head from every tribe, to spy out the promised land. He says, send a head from Reuben, from Simeon, from Judah, from Issachar, from Ephraim, from Benjamin, from Zebulun, from Dan, from Manasseh, from Dan, from Asher, from Naphtali, and Gad. Send one head from each tribe. So God sends a head from each tribe, and then in Numbers 13:16, Joshua's name is changed from Oshia to Joshua. Now with that being said, I want to give us some background information to help us appreciate this man by the name of Caleb. Notice if you will, Brother Hampton, start at verse number 17. Notice what happens. Numbers 13:17.
And Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan.
And
said unto them, get you up this way southward, and go ye up into the mountains, and see the land, whether it is what it and the people that dwell therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many.
Now I want you to pay attention to verse number 17. Moses sent them to spy out the land, at those 12 heads, and said unto them, get you up this way southward and go up into the mountains. If you look on a map, Israel is going west. They got to cross the Jordan River. And so they're going west. If you look at a map, you say, why don't they go due west? Moses doesn't tell them to go due west. Moses says the way you go westward, you go southwest. You go southward. There's a great lesson for all of us in verse number 17. Do you not realize Moses had to give them directions to get to the promised land? Say, Brother Freeman, what you talking about? You know why he had to give them directions? They ain't never been here before. They don't know the route. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what they're going to encounter. And so just like they needed some direction and some help and some guidance, sometimes we need some direction, some help, and some guidance. Sometimes young folk need direction and help and guidance. You don't know everything. And so he had to give them direction. They never been this way before. But let me stop and say this. It's very concerning to me when I hear young people say they don't need Bible class. That's very concerning to me. We all need Bible class. We all need to study and grow in the grace of the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. We all can stand to grow and improve better. You know what that sounds like to me sometimes? You hear young people talk? Young people sound like backseat drivers. You know backseat drivers know everything, don't they? They know how to go, which way to go, what time we need to leave, how many stops we need to make, what we need to do in the meantime. You got that all figured out already? We got all that stuff figured out. Notice now, Moses had to tell them the directions. Go southward. You ain't hear nobody say, well, Moses, I don't think we should go that way. That way don't look like the right way. Well, guess what? If you want to get into the promised land without getting yourself hurt, you better go southwest. And so he tells them to go southward. The reason being, since they've never been this way before, they don't know this way before, they don't know what's lurking ahead. They don't know the dangers. They don't know the people of the land. That's the same thing for us. This thing called life is a journey. And as we journey in life, sometimes we need some guidance. We need some help. And so he gives them some direction. God gives us direction. What else does he say there? Verses 18 through 20.
And see the land, whether it is, and the people that dwell therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many, and that the land is that they dwell in, whether it be good or bad, and what city there be that they dwell in, whether it be tents or in stronghold. And
verse 20, read verse 20.
And what the land is, whether it be fat or lean, whether there be wool therein or not, and be ye of good courage.
Notice now, you notice Moses keep telling them, go see the land. Go see the land. Go spy out the land. You need to go investigate and check this land out. Don't just go over there all of a sudden and then be surprised. We don't do that, do we? I don't know anybody who plans to move to another city without first going to check that city out. You don't move from Memphis to maybe a Nashville to Atlanta without first going down there, looking at the crime, see if they got some places to eat, see if they got places to shop, check out the schools, check out the communities. You don't do that. You check all of that stuff out, and that's what God is telling them to do. Y'all go out and check out the land. And check to make sure if the land is everything that I say it is. So God tells these 12, Moses tells these 12 spies, go check the land out. Go and view and investigate the land. What is interesting, I want you to think about this. God tells Moses to send a man from every tribe. God didn't send just one man, or three, or four. He sent one from every single tribe. Now keep in mind how they are centered around the tabernacle. Wouldn't it make more sense that when they go check the land out, that everybody come back saying the exact same thing? You see the validity of testimony. Deuteronomy 17:6. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. So God sends 12 men, one from each tribe, and he tells them, go and check the land out. You got to go and investigate the land. You got to go and check it out. Keep reading that verse number 21. What happens?
So they went up and searched the land from the wilderness of Zion unto Rehob, as men come to Hagamah. And they ascended up by the south.
Which way they went? South. They went by the south. They followed Moses' directions. What else does it say?
And came unto Hebron, where
Ahiman,
Sihad, and Tabah, the children of Anak, was. The
children of Anak. The word Anak means the long-necked ones. You remember when they came back, you know what they told Moses? We saw the children of the Anakim, that's plural. The children of Anak there, them long-necked folk, them tall people. In other words, you know how sometimes you see tall guys, and I know you play basketball. You play some kind of sport tall as you are. And so those were the kind of people over there in the promised land. Some tall, long-necked men, some athletes, some giants that they call. Read on.
And they came unto the brook of Echo and cut down from thence a branch with one cluster of grapes. They bare it between two upon their staff. And they brought of the
pomegranates
and of the figs.
Now I want you to notice something else God does. Not only does God give them the precise direction of which way to travel, God sends them at the right time of the year.
Right.
When all the fruit, when all of the harvest is ripe, at the time of grapes and pomegranates and figs. And do you not know when they came back with some souvenirs?
Yes.
They came back with some figs and some pomegranates and some grapes. Why? Because the land that flowed with milk and honey, that phrase means it's a fertile land. Right. It's a land that's nourishing. It's a land that's plentiful. And so God sent them at the right time. Imagine God sent them at the first beginning of fall.
Right.
All the grass dead, all the plants dead, everything looking gray, dead, and dreary. God sends them at the right time so they'll know what God told Moses in Exodus 3 and verse number 8, that I'm going to send you to a land full of milk and honey, is right. So he sends them at the right time. But notice if you drop down in verse number 26, notice in verse 26, they come back now. They en route back. And this is where the sermon begins.
Okay. All right.
Notice verse 26.
And they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel unto the wilderness of Paran to Kadesh, and brought back word unto them.
And notice what they bring back with them.
And to all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land.
They came back. They came back joyous. They came back excited and happy. And then they got some fruit from the promised land. You ever had somebody tell you about something, tell you about a sale or something at a mall, at a store or something like that? And they try to convince you need to go check this out, you need to see it, and you really don't believe it until you go and see it for yourself. This is how it was with the children of Israel. God been telling them ever since they came out of Egypt, the land of Canaan.
Yes.
It's unlike Egypt.
No.
It's more fertile. It's thriving more. It's better for you than the land of Egypt. It's better than this wilderness. But until they saw it for themselves and believed and were convinced that what God said, that's when they believed. But I want you to know what happened now. They come back with word, and they come back bringing these souvenirs, the pomegranates, the grapes, and the figs. And notice verse 27.
And they told him and said, we came unto the land where thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey.
It's just like what God said.
This is the fruit of it.
They say it's just like what God said. You ever had somebody try to convince you to watch a movie, and they're trying to tell you about the movie, and it's just so all based on what they're telling you. You be like, is that the same movie you described? But the land, when they come back with the report, is just like what God said. You know why? Because God cannot lie.
No,
He can't lie. He can't do it. It's not a part of his nature. God can't lie. Number 23:19, the Bible says the children of Israel can't lie. God is not a man that he should lie. It's impossible for God to lie.
Right.
What does it say?
Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled, and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there.
We saw them tall guys over there. And you know what? The cities are fortified. They got some strongholds. But I want you to know the verse 29.
The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites,
the Hittites,
and the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea, and by the coast of Jordan.
Now, they come back. They know that what God said is right. They know it's true. They can't deny it. But then when they saw the people, it's amazing so many times how we will prefer people over what God said. We'll listen to people. We'll look to people before we look to what God said. And here's the thing. They ain't telling Moses something he don't know. God had already told Moses who in the land, Deuteronomy chapter 7. Yeah. The Hittites, the Jebusites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Canaanites, the Amorites. God had already told Moses they in the land. They ain't telling Moses nothing new. But I want you to notice Caleb. Verse number 30. Notice Caleb's exhortation. Notice what Caleb says.
And Caleb stilled the people.
First of all, Caleb stilled the people. The first thing Caleb does, Caleb said, everybody calm down. Hold your horses. Everybody calm down. He stilled the people. You know what he does next?
Still the people before Moses and said, let us go up.
The second thing Caleb does in his exhortation, Caleb says, let us go up. What's implied in that statement is Caleb believes that if we work together and we go together, we can defeat the inhabitants of the land. Let us go up. He didn't say let me go by myself. If we do it, we can be victorious. Let us go up. Can you imagine the things we can accomplish as a unified group?
Yeah.
Caleb said, let us go up. For we are well able to defeat them. Caleb said, we are well able. Reason being, because God is more than able.
Right.
Ephesians 3:20. Now to him who is more than able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. That's what Caleb believed. Here's the thing about Caleb. I'm convinced that when you see Caleb, if Caleb had to go by himself, he would have went by himself. Caleb said, we can go up. Caleb said, we ain't got to be standing here looking around at each other, wondering, trying to figure out if God going to give us the land. Caleb said, let's go. Let's go up at once. You know who Caleb reminds me of? All of us are familiar watching Scooby-Doo. You know, a lot of the characters on Scooby-Doo are afraid, scared, but a little scrappy.
All right.
Scrappy gonna fight and bite anybody.
Well.
That's Caleb. Caleb said we can do it. And guess what? That's the kind of leader you need. You need somebody who is convinced that what God said is true. All we got to do is believe and trust God and take God in his word. Caleb said we can do it. Yeah. Caleb wasn't afraid. And so when you see Caleb here, notice his exhortation. First of all, he had to get everybody quiet. Yeah. He had to get everybody on the same page. Because y'all need to understand, what are y'all afraid of? We just went over there. We've been over there for 40 days. We brought back the fruit from the land. It's just like what God said. So why are we afraid now? One man has said, fear is false evidence that appears real. They were fearful. They were afraid of the people in the land. That's what you notice what they said. After Caleb steals the people. Notice verse 31.
But the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we.
Hey, when you read verse 31, sometimes your brethren will surprise you. You think everybody sit on these pews on the same page. Your brethren will surprise you at the most inopportune time. At the time where Caleb needed them the most, they said, we can't do it. We can't do it. Them folks stronger than us. They taller than us. And then to add insult to injury, notice what he says next.
And they brought up an evil report of the land, which they had searched unto. The children of Israel say, the land through which we have gone to search it, it is a land that is of the habitation thereof. Now you notice this. The thing about fear, fear makes people irrational. You ever notice that? What you think about this? Most people who are afraid of death, they become irrational as it relates to death. I hear some people say, well, you know what? I can't buy that house. I can't stay in that house. Somebody died in that house. Because they're afraid of death. But you'll go to the hospital. Somebody died in the hospital. People die all the time in the hospital. You see, fear makes us irrational, doesn't it? Notice what they're saying. They said the land that we searched eats up the inhabitants. If that's the case, why are the Jebusites, the Hivites, the Girgashites dead? Amen. They are the inhabitants in the land. They said the land eats up the inhabitants. They're irrational. What else does it say? All the people that we saw in it are men of a great stature. And there we saw
some giants. We saw the giants in the land. And then notice what he says next.
Which came of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers.
Notice now. They saw themselves as grasshoppers in comparison to these giants. Fear. False evidence that appears real, but also makes us irrational. And so here they are saying, we can't take the land. This is the land that God has promised Abraham way back in Genesis chapter 15. And now time has brought things to fruition. They right there on the cusp, at the very threshold of the promised land, and they say, we can't go in. We can't do it. We can't cross over. Can you imagine that many Christians like that? they get to the very cusp of God's blessings and God working in their lives, I can't do it. Many of us are just like those 10 men who brought back that evil, but not Caleb. Caleb's exhortation shows us if Caleb had to go by himself, he would have done it. Yeah. In the second place, I want you to notice Caleb's example. Look at stay in the same chapter. Look at Numbers chapter 14, verse number 6. Notice now, and Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, which were of them, they searched the land. They rent their clothes. Joshua and Caleb were so upset at those 10 spies who went over there with them, they tore their clothes in disbelief. They are so mad and so upset that they tore their clothes. And notice what they say next. And they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we passed through to search it, it is an exceeding good land. Notice what they say, verse number 8. If the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it us a land which floweth with milk and honey. Notice verse number 8. Joshua and Caleb show us the condition attached to the land. The only way we can possess the inherited land is that God has to delight in us through our obedience. Yeah. We must obey God. We must comply with God. And then notice verse number 9. Notice what Caleb says. Notice what Joshua and Caleb said in verse number 9. All right. They said, don't rebel not against the Lord, neither fear the people. They said, don't rebel against God and don't fear the people. Notice what Joshua and Caleb said. For they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Here's Joshua and Caleb. They've been over there. Yeah. They've been to the promised land. They know what they have to offer. They know what God has said. They know God is good. And they said, you know what? God will bless us to get it. But we can't be afraid. Can you imagine? Here's Joshua and Caleb. And here's Joshua and Caleb telling that whole congregation of people, we ain't never scared. That's what they tell the people. You know why? Because God is with us. Yes. And the sooner we realize that, and the faster we realize that, we can go over to the promised land. Yes. They say the Lord is with us, fear them not. We ain't got nothing to be afraid of. Brothers and sisters, you don't have anything to be afraid of. Amen. When you see Caleb's example here, Caleb showing that he's not afraid, that is the sign of a strong leader. Amen. Yeah. Because we need leaders who are unafraid. Right. Amen. The Bible says in 2 Timothy 1 verse number 7, God ain't given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. The Bible says also in Hebrews 13:5, God has said he'll never leave us nor forsake us. Right. So Caleb understood that and he believed that. So here's Caleb saying, you know what? We ain't got nothing to be afraid of. What are you afraid of? What is it that's causing you to be held back? And here's Caleb and Joshua having to fight against their own brethren. But I want you to know what happened in verse number 10, which is so ironic. Numbers 14:10, how does it read?
But all the congregation bathed stoned them with stones.
Now here's Joshua and Caleb. They are so convinced that God has given them the land and they want to go over. They want everybody to go over. They're so convinced of it. But the congregation said, we can't go. So much so that they want to kill Joshua and Caleb. And that's what I told you earlier. Don't be surprised if some of your brethren, their own brethren, want to kill them. I want you to think about how irrational they are. They said we can't take the land because the children of Anak there. And the land east of the inhabitants. But here's Joshua and Caleb, their own brethren, they come back with a favorable report. They want to kill him. Well, why don't you bottle up that same energy, take that same energy, and you apply it to the Canaanites? They want to kill Joshua and Caleb. They want to stone them, but they don't want to fight the Amalekites, the Hittites. They don't want to know with them. But they want to kill Joshua and Caleb. So you can't tell me about brethren. Here's Joshua and Caleb believing and trusting in God, and they said we can do it. But their own brethren want to kill them. And the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel. And the Lord said unto Moses, how long will this people provoke me? And how long will it be ere they believe me for all the sign which I have showed among them? Notice what God says in verse number 12.
I was mighty.
God got so fed up with these folk.
I was mighty.
God says, I will disinherit them. In other words, God says, I'm going to let them go. and I'm going to make a new nation. That's how upset God was at their unbelief. Can you imagine how that must have made God feel? After all of those years of promising the promised land to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, to Joseph, to Moses, and now here they are right there at the very brink of crossing the Jordan, and they said, we can't go in. In other words, they called God a lie. And so God says, with that being said, I will disinherit them and make of them a greater nation and mightier than they. But I want you to pay attention to Caleb's example. Caleb said, we ain't got nothing to be afraid of. We have everything to gain if we believe and trust in God. But then, I want you to notice Caleb's enthusiasm. I want you to hear it in his voice. I want everybody to turn over to Joshua chapter 14. Look at Joshua 14, our text. All of that was preliminary to Joshua chapter 14. Joshua 14, verse number 6 beginning. I want you to notice Caleb now. Now what has happened from Numbers 14 to Joshua 14 has been spent about 45 years. All that generation from 20 years old and upward has died out in the wilderness. What has happened? Look at Joshua 14, verse number 6.
Then the children of Judah came unto Joshua.
They came to Joshua.
And Caleb the son of Jehoshaphat, the Canaanite, said unto him, Thus knoweth the thing that the Lord said unto Moses, the man of God, concerning me and thee in Kadesh.
No, notice now, can't you hear it in his voice? This 45 years later, Caleb talking to Joshua. The only other spy who believed they could take the land 45 years prior. So here's Caleb talking to his best friend. And Caleb tells Joshua, don't you remember? Don't you remember what God said to us in Kadesh Barnea? What does he say next?
40 years old was I then, when Moses, the servant of the Lord, said unto me, from Kadesh Barnea to
Espy out the land.
Out the land. And I brought him word again.
Notice Caleb said
as
he was 40 years old.
in my heart.
Caleb said I was a middle-aged man when it happened. 40 years old. In the prime of life. Not too young and not too old. Just enough, as some men say, just enough experience to be gray-headed. 40 years old. In the prime of his life. And he couldn't go in. Know what happens?
Nevertheless, my brother that went up with me made the hearts of the people mad, but I wholly followed the Lord, my God.
Caleb said, my brethren, they discouraged the people from going to the promised land, but I wholly followed the Lord. See, there's a great lesson for all of us in that statement. It does not matter what people are doing around you.
Amen.
What matters is what you're doing. All my brethren